see the way they hate. And I know better than to listen to the people who are calling us slaves. I can feel the sunlight shining.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Brian, and today is Wednesday, May 8th, 2024, and this is episode 693 of the Lots Project podcast, and it's titled Tiny Armored Ones, and I'll be chatting about snails. Yep, we're going to talk about snails today. Had a long day, hanging out with friends and Corey. Corey had the day off and spent the time out at Delinquent's Gully, then had a nice dinner with Tim and Becky. And so Corey and I bullshitted about snails, and we got lots of facts. We've been looking them up, and some interesting things going on with snails in our life right now. So I thought I would talk about it, and man, they are interesting little buggers. So definitely should be an interesting show. Before we get into that, let's hang out, check over in the live chat, see who's hanging out in the coffee crew, grab a cup of coffee and hang out for about an hour. Good morning, Jim. Good morning. See you down there, Rewilder Life. Good morning to you. You just posted in the Telegram group that your yard's finally blooming, and you mentioned allergies yesterday, so I got something interesting about that. Pip was in first thing this morning, 2:58, and said, just remember, humans, first Coca-Cola was sold today in 1886 as medicine. Cocaine. You don't want none of that, Dewey. You do not want none of that, Dewey. Definitely stay away from that stuff. It makes everything more wonderful, makes everything go fast. And hey, could you guys settle down so my camera stops shaking? Dogs, Jesus, they lay down all morning. From the time we've gotten up, they've been laying down. It's hot in here. It didn't really cool off a ton overnight. And the minute I hit go, they started getting up, moving around, laying down, getting up, and bouncing the whole trailer. So that is my life, folks. A1 priority when we build our cabin is it does not bounce. It doesn't bounce when anybody gets up and sits down or moves around. So good morning, Pickle Pete. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate that. Thanks for swinging in. Speaking of Pickle Pete there, what do we have in the cup today? End of the bag of my light Ethiopian. Had just a little tiny bit to go into my Bob jar. Light Ethiopian is fantastic. I can't say that I'm disappointed. I'm always a little sad at the end of a bag. I really dig into the bag. I drink them straight through. I open it and I drink the whole bag and then move on to the next bag, the next blend, or maybe the same blend depending on what randomly comes out of the closet. But yeah, I get in the groove of the one blend, and I really kind of explore it and enjoy it. And the transition. Change is hard for me. And even after a few French presses, it's hard to change to that next blend. But the variety is great. The wide variety of blends Brian has over at Food Forest Farms is fantastic. They're all phenomenal. Even when I venture outside my comfort zone, what I like, I am a big fan of light roast, really light, or light medium light, maybe into a medium. Brian will send me dark roast every now and then, and I'm not particularly a big fan of dark roast, but they're fantastic. I can't say that there's one I don't like. So if you want to check it out, you can get 5% off using LOTS5, LOTS5, or if you haven't ever ordered before and you haven't used the LOTS10 discount code, what are you waiting for? The prices are already super low, and LOTS10 will get you 10% off one time. Just give her a try and let Brian know you came from the show, and you might get little bonus treats or small little packs. Who knows? The guy's always throwing random crap in your box, and that's why we love him. Wait. Rewind that. Jim, don't clip that. Brian's always throwing random things in your box, and that's why we love him. Rewilder Life says extra thick floor joists, and Jim follows up with and lots of them. Yeah, short spacing and large boards is going to be key. Well, and the fact that we're not going to be sitting on leaf springs, tires, and on an unlevel pad. So, I mean, that helps a little bit too. So we have definitely, over the year that we have been here, we have definitely got more bouncy. And usually after a weather shift, after the ground kind of, I don't want to say it heaves, but after the ground kind of buckles or moves, it gets soft. It just moves enough that it probably needs to be restabilized. It needs to be moved about 4 inches, restabilized, everything. But we don't want to hook everything up to do it. We just kind of are going to deal with short term. It is what it is. It is what it is. Pickle Piece says Gen G gets to taste perfection today. So, guys, if you were around, what is today? Wednesday? Monday, Gen G decided that she wanted to grab that item that Brian had. Brian had a beautiful crystal up for grabs for somebody that ordered 2 pounds during the show. Gen G says, I want that crystal. And so she reached out to Brian. That was Monday. Now, the guy didn't have it on the shelf. It wasn't like he had the beans roasted on the shelf, packaged up, ready to go, and all he did was walk out to the garage and put it in a box and send it off. The man literally went out and roasted the coffee on Monday, and she's going to have it today. Or maybe she had it tomorrow. Maybe he's saying she's going to enjoy it today. You guys done? That's like the 3rd time they've switched spots in the last 7 minutes. He probably shipped it out. He roasted it, probably shipped it out. He either got there yesterday and she's going to drink it today or it's going to get there today. I don't care either way. If she ordered it on Monday and it's there on Wednesday, that is super fast, especially for fresh roasted. Especially, he's going to check the shipping. We're going to do a live Gen shipping update on the show. Jen's probably sleeping in. She's going to listen to the show later. She's going to be like, wait, what? It's in my mailbox. I should have got up. Oh, man. So Rachel posted a picture in Telegram at her yard is finally blooming up there in Michigan. Excuse me. Our yard has been blooming for a while, and it's just continuing to blow up. And she mentioned yesterday, she's like, oh, your allergies must have popped or something. And I really didn't notice it, a difference. Like physically, it wasn't uncomfortable or anything like that. I wasn't taking any allergy meds. But last night after dinner, we happened to stand outside, and Corey started bullshitting with a young lady that was on the road or on the sidewalk. And through different things, she works for the USDA and does farm implementation or something, farm management practices or something commercial farm. But she said that yesterday was the highest pollen count of the year so far. So well done, Rachel. Well done. So you were spot on for sure. Jim says we don't notice the bouncing as much as you do. Well, okay, that's good. I'm glad you don't, because I do. So, oh no. Let me go top up my my Noster account while I'm over there. I'm gonna say good morning to Jim. Good morning, Jim. How we doing over on Noster? Thanks for joining us over here. And hold on, guys. If you don't use Noster, if you don't use Bitcoin Lightning, here we go. Let's I can talk to you while I do this here. I'm going to top up my account. I'm going to send in 2,000 sats to top up my stream so I can stream over to Noster, and it's done. That's how fast Bitcoin Lightning works. Yeah, that quick. Now I'm going to be able to still roll all the way through the show. So that gives me about a week. So we'll see. Thanks for watching over there, Jim. I appreciate it. Rewilder Life says, wild night for the South. I saw there was some severe weather, not here. But we had a chance of rain at like 4 a.m., I think was when we went to bed. Other than that, I didn't really watch. I didn't really know anything. Did a bunch of tornadoes touch down? Was there damage? Are we going through another spring where we're questioning whether this is happening for a reason or somebody's causing it? Because I don't know. Last year it seemed like it ramped up, but it seems like that every year it gets a little. It must be climate change. I'm giving in, guys. I'm giving in. I'm buying in completely to climate change. Number 4. Look how. Let's keep track of how many times these guys buckle around during the show. Good morning, K-Bonk. I don't know if I missed you when you swung in. I appreciate you stopping in too. Rewilder Life says there was one in Kalamazoo, Michigan, downstate, but I think Oklahoma got nailed again. Man, isn't that like 60 or some tornadoes so far this year? And we're in May, like barely into May. Seems like a lot, and it seems like they're pretty heavy duty storms. I saw a guy after that F5 went through Oklahoma last week. Was it last week? And he was on TikTok, and he had over 100. Jeez. He said that there hadn't been earlier in the week. He said there hadn't been an EF5 tornado in the United States in like since it was a decade or something. I don't remember the exact date, but he says he had to come back on. It was like the day after he said it, that thing just ripped through Oklahoma, and they announced that it was a F5, and he came back on. He's like, guys, I'm sorry, I jinxed it. But yeah, it had been a long time since there had been an EF5, but it seems like the frequency of tornadoes and the damage. Like, I know there was lots, but it always was like 1 a season, maybe 2 a season that you heard of that did enough damage that anybody gave a shit. I'm sure there were tornadoes that touched down out in the cornfields of Nebraska that, like, oh my God, I lost my crops, but no one lost whole cities or anything. But I don't know. Hunter says kind of weird. All these tornadoes, huh? And he says tis the season for tornadoes. This town that we're in actually has had the highest amount of per capita touchdown tornadoes in Tennessee or something in like recent history or some god awful thing. They had 2 within a month in December. Maybe 5 or 6 years, 7, 8, 9 years ago. I don't remember what year it was, but yeah, 2 within December, and then 1 within another 6 weeks or something. It was just ridiculous. And there's a big curve in the river here that we're sitting on. So I'm wondering, we've been watching the weather patterns, and I think it has something to do with the river. And storms come from every direction. We've had storms come from every direction except for directly east of us. So I think they form and they come up the river, and then they hit and they spin right on top of us. I think that's we're on like a bullseye. So not really upset about getting a cabin built and getting the fuck out of here. So Rewilder Life says planes have nothing to do with it. Move on, Brian. Nothing to see here. Planes, trains, and automobiles. You thinking chemtrails? I'm thinking more not CERN, but HARP. I think that the people to be maybe fucking around with things like cloud seeding and doing stupid shit like that they don't understand completely what they're doing. Maybe. Probably not. This is for entertainment purposes only. Anyway, let's get to it. Let's get to it. So I don't know how long. I think everybody here in the chat that I see, but as far as listeners after the fact and things of that nature, when we arrived here in Tennessee, we is it Friday? No, this isn't conspiracy theory, Jim. This is the truth for entertainment only. When we arrived here, there was an episode a while back. I think it was shortly after we got here. We had a young armadillo, maybe about, I don't know if it was young. It was fairly large. Got hit by a car out here in front of the window, and my wife became a little. Hunter says it's a conspiracy coincidence. It's a carbon copy of a conspiracy that may be true for entertainment purposes only. So the armadillo got hit in the road here, and my wife was fascinated with it for it must have been a week, watching it, thinking about it, researching it, which sent me down the path of reading about armadillos and learning about them, and learn more about armadillos than I ever cared to. But my wife really likes them now, and she's really set on getting an armadillo tattoo. She really likes them. She loves their name. That we discovered that their name means little armored one. That she thought that was the most phenomenal thing in the world. And we actually saw an armadillo the other day on our walk. It was like down the path, and she's like, "Oh my God, there's an armadillo!" And she was all excited. And it's my wife, and I love her to death. So okay, love her. So that was an interesting experience here. The other day, last week, 2 weeks ago now, 2 weeks ago maybe, she found that snail on the walk, on her walk in the morning, on our walk in the morning. I got to carry it home. We've since found, Corey, how many more have we found? 3 more. So we've since found 3 more. They're typical land snails. I think they're classified. A general classification is called land snails. They're also referred to as garden snails, and there's like 2,500 varieties or something of these things. And so I didn't think much of it. I thought Corey thought they were cute. We got a terrarium. She's watching the one. John Palmer. Oh my God, is it time to wrap up the show already? It's been a great day, guys. It went quick. Talk to you later. Hey, John, good morning. Thanks for joining us at the beginning. So I didn't know how far this was going. Oh, no, Jim says my Noster stream says it ended. Interesting. Maybe that's because maybe that's because I upped the thing or pressed the wrong button. Sorry, Jim. We're going to have to watch on YouTube today. Technical glitches, emerging technology. Anyway, so she puts him in the terrarium. She's watching him. I thought he was pretty cool. We started taking video. I had some ideas. Still have some ideas about possibly doing a live stream. A 24/7 live stream of the snail, especially now that we have more, and I see how cool they look. They're really an interesting creature, and so I wanted to learn more about it. We wanted to learn more about it. Was probably a user error, yeah, for sure. We wanted to learn more about the snail, so we gave it the proper environment. We wanted to make sure we were feeding it the right thing, and we wanted to know a little bit more about them. So we started looking into it, a la the armadillo. And so we learned a ton. I mean, I got a list here of things that I learned that are kind of fascinating about snails. You're like, oh my God, snails! Why the hell are you talking about that today? Because they're really cool. They're really cool. And I got excited yesterday because Corey said, I said, well, so when she initially started her research to figure out what to put in her terrarium for the snails, she happened upon a video that somebody on YouTube was raising snails for their reptile food. And I didn't think much of it. I didn't think much of it at all. And yesterday, maybe the day before, maybe she had mentioned it before, but yesterday I really keyed in on it. She mentioned how much they sell for. Not for escargot, not for eating. Well, you can sell them for eating, but just as live breeding snails for either pets or production of reptile food. And then they also sell them as reptile food. They also sell them for their shells. They sell them for all sorts of stuff. And Brian went, I like money. I like money, and I see how easy these things are to take care of, and I see how much my wife likes them, and I'm enjoying watching them too. So I was like, all right, I'm starting to get on board with this snail thing. Guys, a 1 to 2 year old snail of above average size, but the shell is between the size of $1.50 and $1.50 here in the US. For you Canadian folks, that's like 25 millimeters, I think, ish, 20 to 25 millimeters. They can sell for $25 a piece. You're like, holy shit, $25 after you're taking care of them for a year, maybe 2 years. Yeah, the thing is, they lay 80 to 100 eggs 4 times a year. Now, I'm not a real good guy. I'm not real good at math. Actually, I'm pretty good at math, but that's a lot for what you have to do for them. K-Bong says, what? Yeah. Ones with pretty intricate shells, which you can get different species that have potentially pretty cool shells. But a normal, so that's the high end, a normal breeding pair, run of the mill, average size, usually about a year to 2 is where they reach sexual maturity. You can sell them for $25 a pair. I'll still take $25 a pair. All day long. If that thing shits out 100 at a time, 4 times a year, and I have more than one of them, I will take $25 a pair all day fucking long. Put them in a tub. I'll watch them. I'll feed them. I will clean their cage. Well, Corey will do all that, but I'll keep them around and then I'll sell them. So this lit me up. I'm like, she's like, yeah, $25 a pair, and I'm like, wait, what? How old are they? She's like, I don't know, like a year. And I'm like, all right, let's look at this shit. So we bantered back and forth. We looked up a bunch of stuff. I made a list here of interesting facts we'll talk about in a second. But we came up with a name. And I took my own advice. I always tell you guys, you come up with a name. Domain names are cheap. You can get them a couple bucks for a year. And, you never want to miss out on a golden opportunity. And so last night, after I set the show up, I went surfing on my web host addiction and picked up tinyarmoredones.com, future home of hopefully live snail live cams in our terrariums, in our snail farm, and then purchasing of pet snails, snail shells, and reptile food snails in the near future. And this is going to be set up to be mobile operations. So at the point where we decide to go back on the road again or go set up another property, our snail farm will either stay with the cabin for whatever camp host comes to stay there, or it will come with us and it will be mobile. We're getting into the snail business, boys. Getting in the snail business. tinyarmoredones.com, because we loved the little armored ones so much. And these little guys are just tiny and they have little armored shells on their backs. So we thought it was appropriate. No site up yet, but unfortunately the site is taken. So that's going to be fun. Corey and I went to the Dollar General and picked up a makeshift larger Pickle Pete says, like an apple tree, $25 after 2 years of sitting behind a shed. And Jim says, oh, the puns. Snails are really taking off. You guys everybody thinks the snails are slow. A snail's pace. Everybody their whole life has been convinced that snails are slow. That is a fucking lie. It is the biggest lie I've ever seen, because those little bastards can scoot. They're actually pretty fast. I have to admit, and I have to say, scaled to if they were our size, they would be Olympic sprinters. Easy. Cheetahs, jaguars, they'd be fast. We wouldn't be saying the snail's pace unless it was somebody that was like faster than Usain Bolt. Like, seriously. So tiny armored ones is in production. Jim says snail races next on the Lots project. Yeah, like that is actually on my my ponder list. So I've started my usual MO. My usual MO is I'll get an idea and I think about it, and I do a notepad on my phone, and I just throw ideas. It's like the brainstorm board for that idea. I throw things that come up about it. One of the things that's on there is snail races on the live feed. Pickle Pete says, if you roll out, you could sell off the stock and just run sales just like the comfrey. Wonder if someone would pay for it or think it's too expensive. Don't get me started on that, dude. Don't get me started on that. Did you get... Oh, yeah, you got the message last night before I went to bed. It just keeps coming, man. It's like, seriously, when I said it's like fucking growing money, it is. It is. $200 was pretty expensive, wasn't it, Pete? Anyway, yeah, snail races, live feedings, live at just, yeah. There's a lot of things on the list. Snail races for sure. Corey and I are figuring out how to I don't think it would be call them, but she's convinced she has them trained to dinner time. That if she doesn't get their food in their terrarium in the right time, they all come out and start looking for their food. So let's get to this list of things I've learned about snails. Things I have learned about snails. So we're talking about land snails, specifically garden snails, and that's not very specific because there's just there are so many species that they're all similar, but they're all just a little different. So we'll go with the general classification of land snail, otherwise referred to as garden snails. So the United States has them. They're all over the world, and 2,700 species or varieties of snails out there. So lots to choose from. How do they stick to things? That's not on my list. Pickle Pete, I'll have to get a list of things that I need to look up, and I don't know how to copy that message. Interesting. I'll have to put it on the bottom of my notes here. This will be fun. I don't know how they stick to things. I do know that they that thing on the bottom of their shell that comes out of the bottom of their shell is called a foot, and it produces a mucus. Hold on one second, guys. I have to get this set up to be able to do more efficiently. And I need more screens. Cohesion. Nice. Is that true? Is that, do you know that as a fact, Jim, or do I need to look it up? A foot. It's a foot. The snail part, the bottom that they ride on is called their foot. Jim says, if I tell people I listen to a homeless guy talk about raising snails, they'll put me away. This is great. Anyway, here we go. Here's my list. These things eat everything, basically. Not everything. Leafy vegetables, normal vegetables, the stuff you'd find in the garden. They're not what you want in your garden. They're going to eat your shit. You're going to try to get rid of them. But one interesting thing about these little buggers is their poop literally changes color. This is the first thing on my list is poop stuff. Well, first they poop a ton. They like literally for their size and how big they are, they poop a metric shit ton. I haven't figured out if there's something I can do with the snail poop, but it's a significant amount of poop. The other thing about their poop is depending on what you feed them will change the color of their poop. And actually, Gordon Ramsay, the chef, Hell's Kitchen guy, Gordon Ramsay, his main tip on this site that Corey was on was when you are raising snails for escargot, if you're selling them to a restaurant or chef, you can change the color of their poop to make them easier to clean. So you can feed them oatmeal or cornmeal and their poop will turn white and you can see it in their intestinal tract a little easier. And then you can also, you can feed them carrots and their poop turns orange. We've experienced that here. We've been feeding ours frozen peas, frozen carrots. Well, we thaw them out. Peas, carrots, green beans, broccoli. They didn't really care for the broccoli. The other three they love. They're all over it. They eat the crap out of stuff. But when we fed them carrots, we started noticing orange poo. And Corey got concerned that their snails had gotten sick or something. And then she read that their poo changes color. So interesting. Everything you wanted to know about snail poo and more here on the Lots Project podcast. So the next thing on the list here, so that's the poop. They poop a ton of poop and it changes colors depending on what they eat. I mentioned earlier that the snails they lay 80 to 100 eggs at a time. They burrow into the soil a little bit. They lay a sack of eggs with 80 to 100, and they do that 4 to 5 times a year. So you're looking at 400 to 500 eggs a year, 3 to 400 eggs, 3 to 500 eggs a year per snail. I mentioned a few days ago that they're hermaphroditic. They have both sexual organs, but they cannot reproduce themselves. They do need a mate, but 2 mates, when they both have both parts, you got 2 egg layers. And they do this weird thing where they can hold on to semen from one partner to the next and reserve it and get with the next snail and lay their eggs and then use the reserves when they run dry or they go through a dry spell. Like they can't pick up another snail, so they got some reserved in their pocket and they can use that. Pretty cool. So they lay them in the ground in a big sack. It's kind of like fish eggs, similar when I looked at the pictures. And these eggs can actually be sold also for caviar. So they can be sold as caviar. People eat them. You can actually, one of the supplements the snails really need is calcium. That makes sense for growing their shells and keeping their shells up to growing their shells to just a guess. Oh, just a guess on the cohesion. I got you, Jim. So the one thing they need is calcium. One way you can get them calcium is to crush their eggs and feed them back to them because their young are born with tiny shells. So when these little tiny snails hatch, and it takes 2 to 4 weeks for them to hatch out of their eggs when they're laid. So it's a super quick cycle, super quick on that end. But then a year to 2 to get to full sexual maturity and full size. Once they're 1 to 2, they're full size, and then they'll live anywhere from 4 to 10 years. 4 to 10 years, these things will live. but they're born with their tiny little shells. So they're whole when they come out of the eggs. They're like a mini, very, very mini version of the full thing. So you can literally crush the eggs and feed them back to them, and they will consume the calcium that they need. They also can get it from leafy vegetables and other vegetables, just like we do. I don't think we're going to be serving them milk or anything like that. But yes, calcium is one of the biggest things. 2 to 4 weeks to hatch, and you'll have a shitload, 80 to 100 little tiny snails running around, hungry and ready to grow up. We personally have experienced, like I mentioned, that they love the green beans, carrots, and peas so far. Sydney, Sammy, the biggest one we have, will plow through like a pea or 2 peas at a sitting, like just chow down. Will come screaming across the terrarium when Corey drops the peas into the feed dish, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to watch. They eat through their mouth. Yeah, they eat through their mouth. Weird, huh? But we've actually got video of them like gnawing a hole through a carrot, and you can see their mouth coming through the carrot from the other side. So they are very photogenic. Some of the videos that Corey's getting of them are absolutely phenomenal. I think the live stream, if we can figure out the logistics of getting it zoomed in a little bit, the videos could be excellent. The still photos she's getting and the TikTok videos, shorts, and the YouTube shorts are really cool videos. Getting a good response off of them. People are enjoying watching them. Let's see. So 2 to 4 weeks to hatch. They grow 1 year to 2 years till they're full size. All of their organs are inside their shell. I posted a diagram in the Telegram chat at t.me/lots chat a couple days ago that it was like a schematic of schematic blueprint. It was a blueprint of the snail. But all their organs are actually inside their shell. Their lungs are attached to their shell. If you break their shell, if you crush their shell, if you separate them from their shell, they will die. They will suffocate. They breathe kind of through their shell. Jim says he has video of his eating algae off a glass of his aquaponics. That's another thing we can sell into that world, into the fish tank world, into the aquaponics world, things like that. K-Bonk says, do they overwinter? Here they do, obviously. They do bury themselves. They will bury themselves. They will go dormant. They will hibernate. So I believe that they will overwinter depending on how cold. I didn't look into it because I know they're good here. And we will also be doing it in climate control. So I haven't dug that far into to the winter cold. But yeah, they have all their stuff in their shell. They can recede back into their shell and seal it up. So basically, if there's going to be a rainstorm and they end up getting wet or whatnot, they can seal themselves in their shell and be fine. Go underwater and be wherever they need to do. And one way to tell if you have live snails or dead snails, because they will retract into their shell and stay in there for a while. One way to find out if they're actually alive or dead is the fact that they will float. If they're dead, they float. If you throw a handful of snails into water, the ones that are alive will drop to the bottom, and the ones that are dead will float because they decompose inside their shell, and it's a gas bubble. So, Pickle P says, no, my aquaponics snail took off. Damn, he's fast. No idea where he went. They are fast. They are super fast. You guys all think they're slow, and they're fast actually. So the dead ones will float. Their shell comes with them when they're born. We we had some earthworms that must have been in the soil, natural soil that we had put these guys in. All of a sudden we had little earthworms in there, and I thought they were baby snails, and we looked it up, and no, sure as shit, the snails are just like they are when they get older, tiny little buggers with little tiny mini shells on them. So that's cool. Said a year to two to sexual maturity. Their eyes are, you think that it's all a joke like Gary on SpongeBob. You think that it's a joke that the eyes are on the antenna. Yeah, no shit, they are. No shit, they are. Sorry, guys. I put that damn gas tester, the combustible gas tester that I got for a product sample review. I put it in a box, and I think something got set on top of it. It's literally been beeping all morning. Actually, all night. I heard it this morning when I woke up. I think the button's pressed, like it's testing, and it's going beep, beep, beep. It's like the damn smoke detector when the battery goes down. So, yeah, I just heard it go off again. But their antennas are on their eyes, which is really cool. You can watch them look around. You can watch them when they get curious. They'll stretch way out, and they can look around corners. It's really they're really fascinating to watch. They like to hide in dark places. You want to give them, if you're looking to set up a habitat, you want to set up little hidey holes for them, little crevices. Right now we have the bark of a branch. It was probably like 3 inches in diameter, and we were able to pull the bark off it, and it stayed kind of like an arch. Half of the bark stayed as an arch. We have that in there. They love hanging out in there. They love hanging out, and they'll sleep upside down. They'll climb up to the top. They like hanging out in the upper corners of the lid of the terrarium. They also, like I said, they'll bury themselves, and that's what they do to lay their eggs. That's what they do to kind of hibernate and chill out and regulate their temperature. They like the soil super moist. They like a very moist environment, aquaponic systems, wet river banks, stream banks, mud puddles. The majority of the ones we're finding are on mornings after it rains. They're out on the pavement, the new pavement, the racetrack we have out here. And by the way, guys, yesterday we got our racetrack painted. Since we've been here, there's been no lines on this road. Not one center line, not one shoulder line, not one nothing. As soon as they put the racetrack down, it's a double yellow all the way down the middle, and a shoulder line. Wait, I can't call it a shoulder line because literally in Tennessee, they paint the line on the edge of the road. There's no shoulder on the edge of the road. Like he literally painted some of the grass on the side of the road because he was so close to the edge. And we learned that from Kerry Brown when we were down here, like the first time we were noticing how narrow the roads were. He goes, oh, yeah, in Tennessee, when the road falls off, they don't fix the road. They just spray the line a little closer to the middle. I believe it. I believe it now for sure. Anyway, back to the snails. Let me see. They like lots of room to roam. They like a big area to go explore. They are very curious. They, am I freezing? I've had my list up over the screen, and Rachel just commented their internet is off today. So I don't know. It might be me. I don't know. So yeah, they're like a big area to roam. And so that's, okay. Thanks, K-Bonk. That's what we did yesterday. So we have them right now in a little tiny terrarium, probably, I don't know, 18 inches. I think it was a 2.5 gallon terrarium. From what Corey researched initially, they like a about a gallon. I think she said a gallon. That is still swollen. I think I got bit by something yesterday, guys. I went to dinner. See that the big mark on my face? We went to dinner. All of a sudden, my face was like on fire on the side. So I wonder if I got bit by something. Interesting. Just happened to notice it in the camera. Good morning. They like about a gallon of terrarium space apiece. And so we ended up we have 4 in a 2.5 gallon terrarium. So Corey decided that she was going to end up finding more snails. And we're likely going to end up purchasing some breeders. Pickle P says chigger on the face. No, I don't. It's not chigger by no. Those are all over my ankles. I can definitely tell you what they look like. I'm guessing it might have been a spider in the shower. Weird, huh? Piff says soon hundreds of snails start to eat Brian. No, it'll be secured. Don't worry. I'm already all over that. I've been tasked with converting the new terrarium into to usable. So we bought a big old clear tote from the Dollar General, and I have to convert the lid so that it can breathe. It'll be screened and latched and that. So that's my part of all of this. But we've moved from soil to a cocoa core medium. They like cocoa core. It's easy. We use that for our composting toilet. We buy bricks of it at a time, compressed bricks. We rehydrate it, and they are perfectly happy using that. It's a really good moisture lock. It's a really easy to regulate the moisture in the thing as a whole, and even to be able to kind of give them a gradients to have different areas. So they like a minimum of 2 inches of soil or substrate in the bottom, because that's where they're going to burrow down. They're going to burrow down to regulate themselves. They're going to burrow down to lay their eggs. And so they need at least 2 inches in the bottom. We got this big old terrarium. I think Corey is going to be able to have, like, I don't know, probably 20 or 30 adults in that thing. Do you remember how big that tote was, Corey? Was that an 18 gallon? Yeah, it's probably like an 18 gallon. So we'll probably end up with 2 dozen in there ish, 15 to 20, somewhere in there. And then as they hatch, we will dissipate them into grow out tanks and things like that. So we're also going to continue to find them and grab them of different variety of sizes to have intermediate stock while our initial hatch grows out for that year to 2. This is long-term thinking, guys. This is comfrey thinking. This is, I'm okay with doing this and not getting anything for it for a year. Because once the year is up, I see the potential. And if it doesn't happen, if we raise the snails and I have a bunch of snails and I get nothing out of them, if I can't sell them, if I can't do anything with them, and I'm like, well, this sucks. What the fuck? What am I really out? If I buy 2 breeding pairs, that's that's $50. That turns into 1,600 eggs in the next year. So 800 pairs times $25 a pair. The potential for putting $50 plus a couple bucks for the website and any revenue that I can pull off the website is going to be cake, frosting, whatever. But if nothing else, I get to the end a year from now or 6 months from now, and I say, I don't want to do this shit anymore, or this just isn't working out, they smell, or they're horrible, or whatever, I got like $60. I got $60 tied up into this. My dinner last night was more than that. So we ate that. I'll poop it out after the show. What did that get me? Well, it kept me alive, I guess. But man, the return on investment, and it's a continual thing. Once it starts, it just keeps going. It keeps producing. Growing money, guys. Think about the easy things, like the low maintenance money. snails are pretty slow rolling. Pickle Pete says that's 20K. Yeah. That's why Brian got excited. Corey's shooting out numbers like, oh, they hatch like, or they lay like 80 to 100 eggs. I'm like, oh, that's quite a bit. That's a pretty good return on one hatch, on one snail. And then she says, yeah, I was looking at them and they're like $25 a pair. And I went, wait a second, what? Just like you probably did when I said that. And then I went to eBay. Then I went to snail distributors or snail suppliers. And no shit, there they were. $25 a pair. And then I started looking at the more intricate ones, and yeah, no shit, $25 for one. Who wants to do snails with me? I mean, I'd be happy to learn with you guys. I have no problem. tinyarmoredones.com is taken. But come up with another name and let's do snails together. Let's do snails together. Always looking for a fun partner to grow a business with, for sure. For sure. We can grow them separately. You can do your own and I can do my own. I don't know what the market tolerance of snails is, but I'm sure between pet food, between breeders, between food, between all sorts of avenues out. I think we'll be able to get rid of a large amount of them. I don't know. We'll find out in a year or so. Long-term money, guys. It's great. Low maintenance, long-term money with low startup investment. Oh, sorry. I got a little bit more money tied up into it. I'm sorry. I have a tote from Dollar General that was $10. So we're up to, I haven't bought the breeders yet. So that is a potential startup cost. A $10 tote. I bought the terrarium, but that isn't for this project. That'll be used for something else. That was just to keep a pet. So I'm not going to count that. So we would start with the $10 tote, $50 in 4 breeder snails. The food, we really could feed them what we're going to eat because that's what they want is vegetables. So yeah, I mean, you can grow your own food, even if you got to buy a bag of peas or carrots every once in a while. It's they'll eat, each snail will eat like maybe a pea a day, maybe 2 peas a day. So you got to think how many peas are in a bag. Pretty low maintenance. The cocoa core, you could use your own soil. Hunter says, how can you tell how old they are by their shell or something? Size of the shell. Size of the shell is the really the only dating method for them, and it's not that accurate. Basically, they said if you see a shell that's the size of a quarter, it's likely adult, but there's no way to tell if it's a year or 4 years or 9 years. So if you find them in the wild, it's really hard to tell how old they are. If you raise them, obviously you have a rough guess. So yeah. Pickle Pete's wondering if ship them in tubes. I have no idea how you ship them yet. That's on the figure out in the next year. I'm not shipping any soon. Basically, I'll order some and see how they come. But from the reading I did in the video, in the reading descriptions or the item descriptions, it said they may show up dormant or hiding, basically sealed in their shell. So that's something they do when they get nervous or feel threatened to, is they'll recede into their shell like a turtle and they'll seal up and they'll just stay in there. They're completely fine until they need food. But they'll seal themselves in their shell. So when they get shipped through the mail, they're kind of, uncomfortable. they'll seal themselves up. So they said all you do is you spray them, you spritz them down, you get them moist and let them be, and they'll come out. If you find snails and you want to put them into a terrarium, you're supposed to wet your hands, moist your hands, and then make the shell moist, and pick it up. If you damage, like I said at the beginning, if you damage the shell at all, their lungs are actually attached to the shell, so you're going to kill them. So you don't want them to stick. You basically lube them up with water, which also rinses them off. And they do carry not disease for us, but if you're bringing outside snails in, it's like chickens or anything else. You're putting them in a new environment. You want them clean. Basically, you can do that with water. And that also helps lubricate them so they don't stick to wherever you're pulling them off of. You don't damage their shell, things like that. So Pickle P says, good idea. Someone else already figured it out. Yeah, dude. Like, it is what it is. It is what it is. Jim says, watch where you get the food. Pesticides could wipe out the whole thing. Yes. Pesticides are something that you have to look at when you're deciding on substrate. You can use potting soil, but nothing with fertilizer. You want to stick to completely clean stuff. So that's kind of why we're going with the Coco Core. One, we already have it because we use it in our toilet. And then two, it's clean. It's easy to change, and it's a great moisture absorber. So I guess we have to add that in. We're going to have to change that once a month, and it was like 1 brick. So it's not expensive. It's a consumable for us every 10 days for our toilet. So it's 1 more brick a month. It can just literally, that's 4 changes a month instead of 3 for us on our toilet. And I'm more than willing to handle that cost. Yeah. John Palmer says a new meaning to snail mail. I hope so. I hope I'm shipping a bundle of those fuckers every day. Like that's the goal. Reinvent snail mail. Pickle P says, make friends at the farmer's market, take the trash at the end of the day. Yeah, they will. They'll eat lettuce, leafy greens, all sorts of vegetables. They just, you got to think of what they are. They're like a little mollusk, and they just consume all that easily digestible stuff. Oh, yeah. So, snails. What do you think? What do you think? Are you going to jump on board? You're gonna put a little tote full of snails? You know, maybe snails will be the new worms. Everybody does worms. Everybody does worm farms and vermiculture. Maybe snails will be the new worms. Everybody will have a little snail farm in their house. So, trying to put a snail farm in every house. But the thing is, you can also sell them as pets. They're very interesting to watch. Like, if I had a little kid right now, and they kept bugging me for a hamster or a gerbil or a dog or fish or something like that, I think I legitimately could sell them on snails. I could sell them on a snail. They are really cool. Hermit crabs were big when I was a kid. These are cooler than hermit crabs, I think. I have to say I would prefer one of these to hermit crab. Jim says it's like a pet rock that moves. Yeah, and it's alive. I mean, there's a big difference there. It's alive. But maintenance, and they're just fascinating to watch. Corey's literally setting up the terrarium for our bigger terrarium that we bought as soon as it's done. She's setting it up in her room so she can watch them all day as she works. When she needs a break, when she needs a little stress relief, she's just going to peek over and watch her snails. So I think even at the flea market or on Craigslist, or is Craigslist still a thing? Marketplace or wherever, I don't think it would be a far-fetched to sell like little snail setups, just like you get hermit crab setups with a little terrarium, all set up to go with your snail, and sell those to people looking for a set it and forget it pet for their kid. They got to clean the thing out once a month. They got to throw a couple peas and carrots in there and change the water and spritz it down like once a day. And if it dies, it's not like you got to, it's not that big a deal. Even if you sell them younger at a 6 month where they're, the size of a dime instead of the size of a quarter, and with the potential to grow out to larger and the potential to really live for another, 9 years. I think it's a pretty cool idea. I don't know. You don't have to worry about baby snails if you keep them by themselves, even though they are hermaphroditic. I don't know. I think there's a lot of potential there, and I was excited to dive in. I was excited to put 2 and 2 together after Corey randomly found snails and brought them home, or got me to carry them home, I guess. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. You heard it here first on the Lots Project podcast. tinyarmoredones.com is going to be the next Petco or something like that. We will make it happen. We'll figure it out, and that's the beauty. I got a year. I got a year to figure it out. I got a year to be ready and tend to these and learn everything I can and become a snail expert. So Pickle P says, send me a bag of snail poo and I'll try it in the Vortex brewer. Let's see how it makes the plants grow. Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility too. With monthly cleanouts, we could probably just do the complete clean out into a bag, the substrate, the poo and everything, and find out how that rolls with the Vortex brewer and growing plants. I don't know what the chemical makeup of the poo of a snail is, if it's fertile or not. So secret sauce. Hunter, snail farm, snail ranch, snail herding. Yeah, it's gonna be a trip, guys. I mean, that's the beauty. I'm willing to do whatever. Let's give her a rock. I'm gonna throw $100 at this thing. Let's see what happens. Pickle P says the brewer just replicates what's there. Yeah, I know that. I just don't know what's there. I don't know what microorganisms, like what's there. The moving to the cocoa core as the substrate will be really nice because it'll be clean from day one. It's a very neutral, both pH and it's clean. So anything added will only be coming from the excrement of the snail, from their snail trails, their slime, from any residual food that doesn't get cleaned out and decomposes. So I can imagine that it's got to be decent. We'll find out. I'm curious once we get stocking density in this bigger tote, like how much poo there is at the end of a month. But then we'll package it all up with the cocoa core, ship it out to you, and we'll do some testing. I'm down with that. I like mailing poo. Hunter says snailshepherd.com. Hunter's always up for a good experiment. Hunter, are you rolling snails soon? Anyway, guys, we're up over an hour here. Pickle Pete is waiting in the wings over on the Food Forest Farms YouTube page, waiting for Wake Up Seattle. Sensi scrambling over there. Sensi. You haven't seen one? I'll sell you one. He's waiting over on the YouTube channel. If you got to check it, if you have another bit of time, maybe another hour, flip on over there when this show is done, and he will greatly appreciate it. Yeah, it's been an interesting show. I hope you learned a lot. I hope maybe it piqued your interest in possibly maybe raising snails or maybe buying snails for me in about a year. If you enjoyed the show, it's always free to hit that like, hit the share, hit the subscribe to return value for value. Please consider joining one of the YouTube membership tiers or listening on any value for value platform like Podverse or Fountain.fm or you can check me out over on Noster, live streaming on the show. That's a value for value platform. If you're looking to figure out how to sign up for Noster, I got the easy button video for both Android or Apple users down in the video description using the Primal app. You can click that link. You can also visit thelotsproject.com, sign up for a little bit of free consultation, find all my information, find my partner companies, discount links, and promotional codes. You can go to comfreyroots.com to pick up your comfrey roots and get those growing on your property and set up a little side business too with that. Soon to be tinyarmoredones.com for snails and everything snail related. Guys, it's hump day. Let's get over the hump. Let's get on the downswing, make it a great day. I got to go out, hang out with my buddy Tim, and they'll be taking off tomorrow morning. So it'll be see you later, and make some plans for the time being. I hope you have an awesome day. I hope it's super productive, and we will catch up with you tomorrow.